Ma'am, step outside and show me your ID, now.
I'm inside my own home. What crime are you investigating? What's your legal basis?
We got a call. You match the description. Step out or you'll be detained.
Detained for standing in my doorway? You don't have a warrant. Step back from my threshold.
We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Ma'am, step outside and show me your identification. The words arrive flat, practiced, carried by the glow of red and blue lights washing over a quiet suburban street. Crickets pause. A porch light hums. The smell of freshly cut grass hangs in the warm night air. The woman stands in her doorway, one hand resting lightly on the doorframe. She is barefoot, wearing a dark cardigan over a white blouse. Her posture is relaxed, but her eyes are alert. Officer, before I do anything, can you explain why you are demanding my ID while I am standing inside my own home? The two officers exchange a glance. One shifts his weight. The other keeps his hand near his belt, not touching, but close enough to signal readiness. We received a call. You matched the description. Step outside. The woman does not move. She looks past them down the street, noticing a neighbor's curtain twitch. A phone screen glows from a driveway across the road. I am asking for the legal basis of your request. I am not required to provide identification without reasonable suspicion of a crime. What crime are you investigating? The question lands heavier than her calm tone suggests. The officer in front straightens. Ma'am, this is a lawful order. If you refuse, you could be detained. The porch light flickers slightly as a breeze moves through the trees. Somewhere nearby, a garage door closes. Ordinary sounds. Ordinary night. A moment that should have ended already. The woman exhales slowly. Detained for what? Standing in my doorway. The officer's jaw tightens. You're being uncooperative. That word changes the temperature. A neighbor steps onto their porch, now phone raised, chest high. Another door opens farther down the block. The quiet street begins to watch itself. Officer, the woman says evenly, I am cooperating. I am asserting my constitutional rights. Those are not the same thing. The officer takes a step closer, stopping just short of the threshold. His voice lowers. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. The woman does not step back. She does not raise her voice. She tilts her head slightly, studying him as if committing every detail to memory. You are standing at the entrance of my home, without a warrant, without probable cause. I am asking you to step back. Red and blue lights pulse across her face, across the white trim of the door, across the badge on the officer's chest. The second officer clears his throat. Ma'am, just show us your ID and this will be over. The woman looks directly at the phone recording from across the street, then back at the officers. This is being recorded, and you are about to make a decision that will follow you for the rest of your career. At that moment, no one on that street knows who she is. All they see is a black woman at her own door being ordered to prove she belongs there. And the officers are seconds away from finding out exactly who they are talking to. The woman at the door did not learn this calm by accident. Her name is Alicia Monroe. 45 years old. Raised in a narrow brick house on the south side of St. Louis. Her mother taught middle school English. Her father worked nights at the postal sorting facility. Dinner was late. Conversations were serious. The television was often tuned to the news. Alicia learned early that rules were not always applied evenly. She learned it when her father was stopped driving home from work, hands still smelling of ink and paper. She learned it when her mother coached her on how to speak to authority, clearly, politely, precisely. She carried that precision into school. Debate club, mock trial, law review. She did not raise her voice. She sharpened her arguments. Law school did not soften her. It focused her. She gravitated toward federal statutes, constitutional limits, the spaces where government power met individual rights. She clerked for a district judge who believed the Constitution was only as strong as its enforcement. By her late 30s, Alicia was prosecuting complex federal cases, organized fraud, public corruption, civil rights violations. She stood in courtrooms facing defendants who underestimated her. They stopped doing that quickly. Her appointment as a United States attorney came after years of quiet credibility. No scandals, no theatrics, just work that held up under scrutiny. She believed in the law because she understood its consequences. The officers outside her door had their own histories. Officer Ryan Cole had been on the force 7 years, known as reliable, responsive. He followed calls exactly as dispatched. A neighbor reported a suspicious person entering a residence. Description vague. Black female. Unknown if resident. Officer Mark Ellis stood beside him. 11 years on patrol, a record without formal discipline but several informal notes. Tends to escalate. Needs reminders on tone. Good street instincts. Neither officer expected complication. These calls rarely were. Knock, question, ID. Move on. What neither of them questioned was the assumption underneath the call, that someone needed to prove they belonged at their own door. That calm resistance meant defiance. That authority required compliance before explanation. Training had taught them procedures. It had not taught them restraint when those procedures were questioned. Alicia recognized the posture immediately. The angle of the shoulders. The way the closer officer positioned himself just outside the threshold. The way the other watched the street instead of her words. She had prosecuted cases built on moments like this. Small violations dismissed as harmless until stacked together into a pattern. This was not fear she felt at the door. It was clarity. She knew exactly what was happening, and she knew exactly what it would become if allowed to continue unchecked. Two paths were forming in real time. One led to de-escalation, the other to consequence. The officers were about to choose without realizing they already had. The night air is thick, humid. Porch lights cast long shadows across the walkway. Phones flick on across the street. A neighbor steps onto their own stoop holding a screen high. Alicia Monroe remains at her door, arms relaxed but attentive. She places one hand gently against the frame. Officer Cole steps forward, voice firmer now. "Ma'am, show us your ID." "I have already asked why this is necessary," Alicia replies evenly. "I am standing in my home. What crime am I suspected of committing?" The officers exchange glances. Each interprets her calm as defiance. The crowd of passive witnesses is growing. Another neighbor emerges from behind curtains recording. A dog barks somewhere down the block. The ordinary background now frames an extraordinary confrontation. "Step outside," Ellis repeats. The tone is sharper. Alicia does not move. Instead, she tilts her head slightly, observing, noting, "You are escalating without cause. I am requesting legal justification." The officers shift again. One hand rests near a service weapon. Fingers tighten. Authority, not law, drives their actions. From across the street, a young man calls out, "This is ridiculous! She hasn't done anything!" Cole snaps his head toward the voice. Another neighbor raises her phone. "Are you recording this?" "Ma'am?" Alicia gestures subtly. "Yes, everything is being documented. Everything is—" Harper's Ellis's jaw tightens. "Step back from the door," he warns. Alicia's eyes remain steady. "You are standing on the threshold of my home, without a warrant, without probable cause. This is not lawful." A tension hangs between the porch, the officers, and the emerging witnesses. The ordinary suburban night now vibrates with scrutiny. The crowd is not large, not yet, but it is enough to force every movement, every word into public view. And in that moment, both sides understand the stakes. Compliance without understanding is not enough. Authority unchecked will soon face consequence. The street has become a courtroom, the witnesses, unofficial jurors. Alicia waits, steady, patient, every second documented, every action measured. The officers continue their standoff, unaware that the story they are creating will not end quietly. The night shifts. Porch light glints off the officer's badge. Fingers hover near cuffs. Every step is calculated, rehearsed. Alicia Monroe keeps her voice even. "Officer, you are exceeding your authority. There is no reason to continue this confrontation." Ellis steps closer, blocking part of the threshold. Cole moves to the side, ready to assist. The air feels heavy. The temperature rises. The ordinary quiet of the street is replaced by tension that can be felt physically. One officer reaches toward Alicia. She steps back slightly, carefully, keeping her hands visible. This is her home. She has the right to control the space. A neighbor records from the driveway. The glow of the screen illuminates her worried face. Another neighbor murmurs from behind a window, "This is wrong!" Cole tightens his grip on his notebook, glancing to Ellis. "Step aside, ma'am," he warns. Alicia does not respond with anger. She does not resist. She asserts the constitutional right she has spent years defending. "I am not resisting. I am requesting legal justification." The tension escalates further. Hands move toward her identification. She produces it slowly, deliberately. Her federal credentials, her badge as a U.S. attorney. The holographic seal glints in the porch light. The officers pause. Their confidence falters. The standoff slows almost imperceptibly. But the intimidation does not stop immediately. Voices rise, orders are repeated. The presence of witnesses changes nothing yet. The officers still attempt to assert control. Every second stretches. The threat of physical enforcement looms. Yet Alicia's composure remains absolute. Inside her, she catalogs every detail for the record names, positions, words spoken, timestamps. This is how evidence is preserved. Outside the ordinary neighborhood is now a scene of legal and moral conflict. Authority meets law. Bias meets preparation. And the outcome hangs on decisions made in the next few moments. The tension breaks as the officers finally examine the credentials. Alicia Monroe opens her badge slowly, letting the officers see the official hologram, her photograph, and the seal of the U.S. Department of Justice. Cole leans closer, squinting. Ellis steps back, slightly, uncertainty creeping into his posture. Lieutenant Karen Simmons arrives at the scene. 25 years in law enforcement, known for her calm but decisive leadership. She looks at Alicia, then the officers, and the room feels smaller, tighter, more focused. Judge Lieutenant Simmons says quietly, realizing the gravity, "I apologize. We should have verified this sooner." Alicia's expression remains calm. She nods once. "Thank you. I need all reports, body camera footage, and radio logs documenting this encounter." The officers' faces have drained of color. Their hands fidget. Confidence replaced by shock, disbelief, and immediate concern about the consequences of their actions. Simmons turns to Cole. "You need to return all personal property immediately. Notify your supervisor. Write a full statement. There is no room for delay." Ellis exhales. He glances at Cole, then at Alicia. We didn't realize." Alicia's eyes remain steady. "You had the authority to question, yes. You did not have the right to escalate, threaten, or intimidate. Every action was being recorded. And now it will follow you." The neighbors on their porches remain quiet, phones still recording. The moment is irreversible. Alicia steps back from the threshold. She is no longer under direct threat. The officers are left with the reality of their error. A lesson in accountability has been delivered silently but unmistakably. The video captured by the neighbors goes online within hours. The footage shows Alicia Monroe standing calmly at her doorway, officers insisting on identification, and the moment her credentials as a U.S. attorney are revealed. Within a day, it circulates widely. Thousands share it. Legal analysts dissect each second, pointing out procedural failures, lack of probable cause, and improper escalation. Civil rights organizations issue statements highlighting the systemic implications. A formal complaint is filed against officers Cole and Ellis. Allegations include unlawful detention, intimidation, violation of civil rights, and abuse of authority. Each claim is supported by timestamps, phone recordings, and statements from witnesses. Internal Affairs opens a full investigation. The officers are placed on administrative leave. Interviews reveal that neither attempted to verify Alicia's credentials before escalating. The pattern of previous stops and complaints is examined and cross-referenced. Public pressure mounts. Media coverage emphasizes that the woman targeted was a federal prosecutor, highlighting how power dynamics shift when the victim has influence. Within weeks, findings are released. Both officers violated department policies. One faces termination, the other receives a formal reprimand and suspension. Their union attempts to appeal, but the clear evidence leaves no room. The city initiates policy reforms. Mandatory training on implicit bias and de-escalation, revised protocols for verifying credentials, and oversight procedures to prevent future misuse of authority. Alicia Monroe does not seek personal gain from the incident. Her focus remains systemic change. She uses her position to advocate for stronger accountability measures and education on civil rights. The episode serves as a warning. Public scrutiny, documentation, and legal knowledge converge to enforce justice. Mistakes have consequences. Policies are rewritten. Careers are altered. The community learns a lesson about the limits of authority and the power of visibility. Justice is delivered not with spectacle, but through procedural integrity, legal action, and the insistence on accountability. What occurred at Alicia Monroe's doorway is a clear illustration of constitutional limits. Under the Fourth Amendment, police cannot demand identification from someone inside their own home without reasonable suspicion of a crime. The threshold of a residence is legally protected, and curtilage law reinforces that standing on your own porch does not waive these rights. The escalation that occurred was fueled by implicit bias. Officers interpreted calm professionalism and assertive questioning as defiance. Bias can warp perception, causing law enforcement to overreact, even in situations where evidence contradicts their assumptions. Training alone cannot eliminate these automatic judgments. Accountability and verification are essential. For individuals confronted with similar encounters, there are key steps to preserve rights and ensure safety. Remain calm, speak clearly, request the legal basis for any demands. Document everything if it is legal to do so, time date actions witness names. Do not resist physically. Compliance under protest paired with careful documentation creates a strong record for legal protection. If credentials or evidence of authority are questioned, present them slowly and deliberately. Ask that supervisors or higher-ranking officers be contacted. Preserve any video or photographic evidence. Engage legal counsel immediately after the encounter to understand options and potential claims. This incident also underscores systemic responsibility. Departments must institute clear protocols for verifying identity and authority, require de-escalation training, and implement independent oversight for complaints of misconduct. Public scrutiny and documentation serve as crucial checks on power. Alicia Monroe's composure and legal knowledge ensured that justice was possible, but thousands without her resources face similar violations daily. This is why education awareness and structural safeguards are vital. The story teaches that the law exists to protect individuals, that authority has limits, and that accountability is not optional. Justice is not just about punishment. It is about ensuring that every citizen, regardless of race or status, can assert their rights safely and effectively.